So lastly, let's talk about communication characteristics and ethics. All right, so some of the things that we need to understand about communication is one, communication always has a purpose. Every time we communicate, whether verbally, non-verbally, we have a purpose for that. So the book, it talks about several different purposes. You can look at that. One of the things that I think is really important, I do want to hit on this, is that we use communication a lot to help promote our identity, or just like to construct this identity of self, or this perception of self. That is something we're going to talk about in the next chapter a lot, so I won't spend too much time on it, but it's very important that we understand that our communication and what's being communicated to us very much defines a lot of how we perceive ourselves and how we communicate or maintain our sense of self. So we'll talk more about that next time. But there's also, we communicate to meet our social needs. We are social beings. Humans, want to communicate with us. One of the worst things you could do is put someone in solitary confinement, right? We use communication to develop and maintain relationships. That is vital to every single relationship that you're in. The more that you communicate, the more self-disclosure that's there, the more close you're going to feel to that person. And then we communicate to exchange information. We obviously, like me doing this right now, is to exchange information so you can learn, so you can better yourself, so that you can get your degree. I need to exchange information with you. Then communicate to influence others. Like when you might watch different videos, different influencers, literally on social media, who really try to encourage. We also do this with our personal relationships. We encourage one another. Or I hope that's what you do in your interpersonal relationships, right? We lift each other up. We find encouragement. We influence, right? So all of those things. I especially think for me as a parent, I influence my child a lot through my communication. So those are all really important things, and we'll go deeper into each of those main purposes or characteristics whenever we are in other chapters. But I'll leave it at that for now. Okay, so next we need to understand that communication is continuous. So it's always going on. It's going to continue, whether it's verbally or non-verbally. It's irreversible. Like even if you say something, even if you didn't mean to say it and you try to make up for that, the communication's there. You said it, right? So it's kind of irreversible, but you can make it better with your communication. Then it's situated. It's very much has to do with the situation that you're in, specific communication settings. Like how you communicate with me as your instructor is going to be different than how you communicate at home, sitting on the couch with a friend, right? So that's going to be different. And then it's indexical, so you can kind of use it to gauge emotional temperature. That's how we use our communication, right? So you may be mad, so you get really sharp with how you talk, right? You might be scared, so you are sad, so you talk like this. It's indexical. You can tell someone's communication climate by their communication, right? So then we have communication messages vary in conscious thought. So sometimes we have just spontaneous thoughts that may just come out. If someone hits you, you might go, ow. Or have you ever said someone didn't hit you, but you thought that something was about to hit you, so you're like, ouch, and it didn't even happen, right? So those are kind of spontaneous. Then there's constructed messages, and those are the ones that we think very carefully about. So right now, I'm forming constructed messages. All right, so what are ethics? Ethics are basically principles that we want to go by. And so any effective communicator, and I guess I need to say that, is that at the end of this class, I want you to be an effective communicator. An effective communicator is going to go have some ethics, right? So we have some ethics to think about. Are one, ethical communicators are honest. So they share. That doesn't mean you have to be mean or rude. We're going to talk about that in a second. They're honest. They act with integrity. So they're going to be the same, they're going to say the same thing. You're not going to be rude, wishy-washy, go behind somebody's back and say something bad. You're going to have integrity. They behave fairly, so they don't try to use their communication to hurt, to bully, to get their way. They demonstrate respect. So their communication, effective communicators are going to be respectful of how they communicate to people, regardless of who that person is. And then they are responsible, meaning they own their words. They own what they communicate. Since communication is irreversible, we have to own what we say and make it right if we say something wrong or hurtful. And so this kind of goes, and this is where I'm going to end. This goes with bright side and dark side messages. The book gives you a figure of the bright and dark side messages, so you have to take a minute, look at those. It kind of shows you how can you say a message in a way that's both ethical and bright, and or unethical and dark. So that way that we do that, you can kind of see how that works. But you can always be thinking, even going forward this week, think about how can I use my messages in ethical ways that say what I believe, are honest, that are that they have integrity and they show respect, right? And they lift other people's up, and they are more bright than they are dark. So be the light. Don't be the person that brings dark into the world. All right. Hope you learned something. Thanks for watching.